Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jenny Montgomery. Thank you for joining us today. You know, we hear so much about the healthcare crisis in our country and the lack of nurses. That's really troubling because in the world of healthcare, nurses are the backbone of our hospitals. But for the nurses, ever since the COVID-19 pandemic, it has become a different world. Some nurses saying it comes down to profits before patients. In Florida, many healthcare workers have protested their current situation, calling attention to staffing shortages that they say endanger the safety of their patients.
When I'm at one facility, I'm taking on up to 6 to 7 patients, and at another facility up to 5 patients. I go home, I'm burnt out, I've got 3 kids that want my attention, and it's hard. It affects my home life and my work life. How would you feel if your sister or brother or your husband or your wife or your child goes into a facility and they're like, I'm sorry that, you know, they acquired an infection here? And the real reason is we couldn't change that dressing in time because we didn't have enough staff.
So the question is how to address staffing shortages, and this, how to address the anxiety that often comes along with a medical diagnosis. Here in Augusta, a new program is helping when it comes to support for patients' mental health. Integrated Psych Solutions takes a proactive approach to get help for any mental issues, from stress and anxiety to something more. Clayton Swalstad is the CEO of Integrated Psych Solutions. He's with me today, along with Dr. Stephanie Northington. She's a psychologist. And before we get started, Clayton, first of all, I want to thank you for your service, because I read in your bio that you have an Air Force career and you have the distinction of serving on 6 continents.
That is correct. I served from Vietnam to Desert Storm.
Wow.
And
so we were on every continent but what? Antarctica? Were you in Antarctica?
Actually, that was one of my first continents.
Amazing.
I left high school and ended up in McMurdo Ice Station on Operation Deep Freeze.
Okay, so we're going to do another segment at another day with you, because Antarctica is my bucket list. Okay, so that'll be fantastic. But thank you for your service. That was very interesting to read. One of the things I think that we want to start by asking is, you know, what makes Psych Solutions different, Integrated Psych Solutions? You're partnering with medical facilities, right?
That is correct. It was started by 2 physicians in the Augusta market about 3 years ago now at Doctors Hospital, actually more appropriately JMS Burn Center, where the hospitalists that were taking care of those burn patients were struggling with all of these issues the patients were going through, and they weren't trained to manage the emotional trauma of disfiguration, of the change that's coming next. And they invited one of the psychologists to come in and maybe partner with them on taking care of this care. And it grew from that model, and it grew, I mean, just amazing. We, in the burn unit, we take care of trauma patients. We take care of those patients in the emergency department that are on House Bill 1013 hold for issues, harm to oneself or others, drug-related or otherwise. And now we're a part of that continuum of care when you're admitted to the acute setting. That created another need for the outpatients, because we found them in the acute setting, and there's underserved in this community for this type of mental health, mental wellness. And patients don't always live in Augusta, so we created a tele-mental health arm. And we've created an outpatient clinic, and we're expanding that into the community through hiring and finding the right partnerships, like Dr. Northington here, and how we can meet the need of this community in child and adult.
Dr. Northington, you are a psychologist, and we just heard last week in the State of the Medical College address that the things we can really anticipate are like tele-mental health, tele-ED, tele-ICU. I mean, so many things are going to be happening, so it does help with outreach, especially to rural areas. But you are talking about differences that can be made with people who need this component, this holistic component that goes along with a medical diagnosis.
Yes. Oftentimes there's that anxiety or just not things with not knowing with what comes with that medical diagnosis. And so when we're in the acute setting, we start addressing some of those concerns immediately. And then for those who are in more rural areas in Georgia or who don't have reliable transportation, we can link them to the outpatient side and make sure they're getting those telemental health services.
It is interesting to hear you say that, you know, the whole mental health field is underserved in this area.
It's with the institutions we have here, it's actually quite surprising. But with COVID, I think things changed.
I think so too.
In our circles, you know, folks that are trying to do this across the country, we talk about that rip the Band-Aid off of this issue. We're a company that's growing to meet the dynamics of that. We don't have enough therapists. We don't have enough psychologists here or anywhere else. And our company from Augusta now has expanded out to Florida, where we're doing telemental health to school districts, to county jail inmates. Because, you know, they've made some bad choices, but we've got to help them recover to take care of that.
If they're going to integrate back into society.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think this is just such a great model, and it's so necessary. And Dr. Northington, you do partner with groups, but you also offer counseling services without a referral.
The company does, yes, and there are partnerships we have in the community that help streamline that process, especially for the underinsured and underserved in the community.
And we have, we want to show you how you can contact Integrated Psych Solutions. You can call their number. It's 706-204-1366. You can also get a hold of them at referrals@inpatientpsych.org, and you can check out their website at integratedpsychsolutions.net. Dr. Northington and Clayton, I'm just so happy that y'all were here with us to share a bit about this. Integrated Psych Solutions, you can find more information and a link to their operation on our website, WJBF.com. Just click the JENNIE link.